everybody, and welcome to the Jump Podcast. Now, I got a question for you. What are you waiting for? If this is your first time here, it's time to jump. I'm not talking about jumping up and down. I'm talking about jump into greatness. Success is waiting for you. Now, a lot of you are thinking, Chuck, I'm too old. I'm done. I got too much debt hanging over me. I got to pay this. I got to pay that. Oh, slow your brakes. I found somebody that knows the game and knows the story that's going to help you get out of this situation. If he can do it, you can do it. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Brad. Give him a big round of applause.
Thanks so much, Chuck. Appreciate you. Thanks.
So, my friend, born and raised, where are you from?
I am born and raised in Wisconsin. I still live in Wisconsin. I'm kind of unfortunate this time of year because, believe it or not, yesterday was Halloween and it snowed here. So, I love it. I love it most of the time, but man, it's getting that time of year where it's questionable why I've chosen to stay here.
So you had trick or treat and snow in the bags at the same time.
Yeah, barely trick or treat. No one wanted to go out in that. It was crazy the amount of snow. Now, luckily, the weather's going to change here in a couple of days, of course, and it'll be a little warmer. But yeah, it's a rude awakening that winter is approaching. There's no question.
Well, my main question to everybody is always this: growing up, what was the little man in you wanted to become? Like, I could see, you got that energy, you got that spirit. What was it? Did you want to fly to the moon? Did you want to skyrocket? What did you want to do?
Yeah, I always wanted to run my own business. Restaurants always came to mind.
Okay.
I love food, love cooking. Restaurants always came to mind, but never really explored that area. But when I was a kid, I always loved making money. I always worked. In fact, when I was probably like 10, 11 years old, my parents were nice enough to let me operate and run a little car wash in my driveway. And so for like weeks, we washed so many neighborhood cars. We made hundreds of dollars. And obviously people were really just nice and gave us nice tips and stuff. And, that was kind of my first taste of money. Like, hey, this is cool, right? Running your own business, making some money. And, even in grade school, I became kind of my janitor. I went to a very small private school and I talked them into letting me become like the janitor after school every day. So for like half hour, 45 minutes every day, I'd clean and sweep and mop and do stuff around the school and I get paid for that, and those were kind of the first times where it's like, I really started to enjoy work, making money. And, but I always had this idea of, I just wanted to run my own business. But sadly, as I became an adult, I made a lot of poor financial choices in my early years, late teens, especially through my 20s and early 30s. And I got stuck working for jobs and making just an income just to pay all those bills I had signed up for. And that whole dream or idea of starting my own business started to kind of fizzle away, right? And I just kind of felt like, man, there's just no way I'm ever going to be able to do that. And finally, that was kind of one of the things that really kind of woke me up and said, hey, I need to get my finances under control because I had a good job, had a good boss, had a good situation going, but in my heart, it wasn't what I wanted. And okay, so I needed to do something different.
So this is a two-parter to go on what you just asked, because I'm trying to think here. The entrepreneur in you, like, who in your family was an entrepreneur, or did you see somebody and go, oh, I want to be an entrepreneur? Was there somebody in your family, or did you see somebody?
Nobody. And I didn't see anybody in there. It was just in me. Wasn't a big fan of school. I did okay. See average student. I did enough just to get by, but I wasn't terribly interested in school. I was there for the social aspect of it. I loved hanging out with friends and, playing sports and do some of that stuff. But the education part of it, I just had a hard time connecting with it because there was nothing I was learning about that was like, I was truly passionate about. Right.
Nothing that grabbed you.
Nothing. And so even after high school, I took a year off from college because it was like, I just didn't know what I wanted to do. And I felt like going to more school was one of the good financial decisions I did make, I will say. I just felt like going to college just for going to college was just going to end up costing me a lot of money. Because it's like, I wasn't interested. I knew I was going to have to pay for it now because my parents weren't going to pay for me to go to college. Mm-hmm. I just felt like it was going to be a waste of time for me because it's like, I don't know what I'm really into yet. So I took a year off and I worked at a grocery store, ended up working for a potato chip delivery company for a while. I just was kind of finding my way. Eventually got into graphic design, and which I really, really enjoyed. And I got into the sign business, and I actually worked in the sign industry for about 14 years. And really loved that job, loved the work, very creative. Everything was different every day. One thing I didn't like, obviously, is everything was very deadline driven. You're working with companies that have really tight deadlines and things, and that sometimes took a little bit of the fun out of that job. But eventually, it was just like I got tired of really working hard to help someone live their dream, right? And not that that's bad. I mean, if you're out there and you're working a job, it's not terrible, obviously to work for somebody, but just deep in my heart, it was just, I wanted to do something for me, for my family, for myself. I wanted to control my own time. I wanted to control my own hours. I wanted to have more of a say in my future and in the direction of where that was going to be. And I knew, like, from a financial standpoint, like the debt I had, paycheck to paycheck living, that was like a huge, you know, roadblock for me of ever being able to experience and go into something on my own.
Well, I have to ask this one question because you said it. You said you made some financial stuff. Like, what were you spending on? Like, give us some stuff that you spent on, and you're like,
Oh,
looking back at now, you're like, why did I
try.
do that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I had mountains of credit card debt just on silly things, just frivolous purchases, concerts, and NFL football games, and clothes, and computers, and electronics, and just dumb stuff. Probably a couple of vacations, and it's one of those things where you get your statement, you look at the balance, and you're like, what in the heck does all this money represent? Like, what does all this debt I should say money. What does all this debt represent, right? And you just tend to forget. It turns into like this mountain of what is this, right?
Yeah.
Another big one for me was vehicles. I made so many poor decisions with vehicles, and not like super luxurious vehicles, but just,
Mhm.
your average vehicle. But, when I was 18, a senior in high school, I had my first car payment. And,
Okay.
I got sick of that car, and then 18 months later, I had to get another car, and I got sick of that car, and 18 months later, I had to get another car. Well, if you know anything about cars, they don't hold their value, at least,
You're right.
not compared to what they do today. And, those things are just tanking. Depreciation is a killer. And so I'm just rolling all this negative equity into the next car and the next car. And, before you know it, my payments were just
Skyrocketing.
crazy. They're just crazy. And here I am. I just keep doing it. I probably owned, I think I counted it up. It's probably like 13 or 14 vehicles by the time I was 30 years old. I mean,
No.
that's crazy, you know?
So
So
listen, I
just
wouldn't
stupid things.
I wouldn't be a guy if I didn't ask you the number one question. Which football game did you go to? Like, come on, we gotta ask. Which football game was it?
Oh, lots of Green Bay Packer football. I'm from Wisconsin. Yeah. Lambeau Field is like 2 hours, 2.5 hours from my house.
Okay.
I lived in the Brett Favre era. So yeah, I went up and watched a lot of great football, a lot of great playoff games, and I don't have a tremendous amount of regret for that debt because it was a really cool experience.
Right, right,
Um,
right.
I can tell you though, I haven't been to a Packer foot probably in nearly 10 years now.
But
Um,
listen, every guy that listens to my show just went, "Oh, that's okay, debt. That debt was okay.
yeah,
It's NFL football. It's Brett Favre.
that's
That's
right.
okay. That's an okay debt."
Right. Right.
When did the light bulb come on though? When you went, that's this is kind of getting expensive. I don't got credit. I don't got this. That's getting kind of high. When did the light bulb come on?
Yeah, for me, my first marriage ended in divorce, and a big part of why that marriage didn't work out was money related. There were other things that were involved too, but money and personal finance rank right up there in a relationship with one of the number one causes of fights and arguments. And I just was at a point in my life. I was losing my house to foreclosure. I had bought a brand new house. Neither one of us could afford it because we were getting divorced, and it was during that 2010 housing debacle that happened, and we couldn't get rid of the house because it was worth less than what we had bought it for, and you know prices were plummeting. We just we couldn't get out of it. So it's like, well, what do? We just let it go to foreclosure. Eventually, we were able to short sale it, but that was a really scary time in my life. That just made me realize and kind of wake up, like how much of a house of a cards I built in my financial life, and just how like one event like that was kind of like that card falling out the bottom of the house, and now the whole thing's starting to collapse. I had a 2-year-old boy named Noah at the time, and I just, I just kind of felt like, okay, I need to start doing some things different because I was stressed all the time, living paycheck to paycheck. I had hardly any money in a savings account. I wasn't investing in retirement. There was the whole idea of wanting to run my own business at some point, and kind of seemed like the older I got, the more kind of a wish that was becoming. And I just got sick and tired of that life. It was just this hamster wheel I just couldn't get off of, just, exhausted. And if anyone's on TikTok or social media right now watching reels or any of those videos, man, there's so many people out there talking about that same feeling that I had, 12, 13, 14 years ago now. And that's the life I just didn't want to live anymore. And I felt like I need to do better. Not just by me, but by my son, because I knew that I was doing terrible with this. And if I was doing terrible, like he's going to have me as an example of how to do this stuff. And I just didn't want that for him. I wanted him to at least have a chance to say, hey, look, these are the things that you need to be thinking about as you become an adult, and things that I never was taught. And I wish that I was taught. So I wanted to take that responsibility for him. But then number two, I wanted to give myself a chance to really take some maybe calculated risks to go after some dreams of my own. And lo and behold, it actually worked. And I've been debt free now for 10 plus years outside of my mortgage. I've been running my own business now for 8 years, full time 7 years. And man, the work that I put in to get out of debt, it's been some of the best work that I've ever done in my life. And it's changed my entire family, my family tree, my future, everything that I've been able to do, the experiences after that. I mean, it's been an incredible ride.
All right. So before we get into how you did it and give my
Yeah.
viewers some tips and what you've learned from this thing, let's have some fun. Let's go. It's now time for rapid fire. My friend, I'm going to throw some questions at you. You got 2 minutes on the clock to answer the questions. But here's the fun thing about it. You get to choose your own questions. A, B, C, or D, my friend.
Oh boy. Let's go with C.
All right. 2 minutes starts on the clock. Now you can elaborate on the questions, but remember, we got to get through the questions in 2 minutes. The first question starts when I ask you the first question. The timer starts now. What is the best compliment you've ever gotten?
The best compliment. Okay, physical quality, I've got good calves. This is the first thing that came to my mind.
We're gonna go with that one. All right. What is the best part of your morning?
The best part of my morning is working. I love it. I love to work in the morning. My kids are asleep. I get up at about 4:30 every morning and I get the most important stuff done. Most mornings, not every morning. I'm not perfect at it, but most mornings I get up and I'm able to get some of that important stuff done. And it's just a great way to spend the day.
All right. What's the best advice you've ever received?
Oh, stay away from debt. If you don't got cash, don't buy it.
All right. What is your worst fear?
Ooh, joking.
Choking. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a scary one. All right. What would you do? Dance with Lady Gaga or dinner with Barack Obama?
Oh man. All right, I'll go with Barack.
There.
I'm not much of a dancer. I probably wouldn't go so well.
What is your favorite ice cream flavor?
Oh, cookie dough.
Favorite childhood memory?
Oh, I would say any Christmas morning from the time I was probably, 4 or 5 all the way up till 12 or 13 when that old magic was still there.
What's your drink of choice?
Alcohol, I'd go Tito's Club Soda Lime.
There you go. What's your fondest memory as a kid?
Oh, I'd go with Christmas again. Yeah, best memories.
And then here's the last question. And it's funny that you chose this for number C. The last question is, how good are you with budgeting?
I'm actually really good now, but I if you asked me, 12 years ago, I sucked.
I've never really looked at that question because no one chose C before, but it's funny that you chose C. And the last one was, how good are you with budgeting? Now, let me stick a pin on that one. Now, because of your debt free, do you overthink about budgeting now? Like, do you overthink about it? Like when you buy something, you go, wait a minute, do I got that much? Or are you like relaxed and free? Or once you go into debt and you're out of debt, do you look and go, wife, do you really need that pair of shoes? Wait, kids, do you really need to how are you right now?
Yeah. So I would say now it's more of just a lifestyle that I've created over the years. Because I mean, ideally speaking, we want to get people to the point where, and I want to be to the point where I can enjoy my money, and really, I work hard. We all work hard for our money. So, it's getting to the point where I think a lot of people use the word budget as like a punishment or a whip. Like I gotta stick to this. And like, I can't have anything fun. I can't do anything fun. A budget is ultimately really determining how you want to live your life, and fun stuff can be a part of that. The sad reality is when most people begin to budget, they're living paycheck to paycheck and they realize that there isn't a lot of money for fun stuff. And that's why it feels like a punishment. But when
Right.
you actually get yourself out of debt and you reduce your debt, get rid of payments in your life, and you actually have some positive cash flow every single month, you can then decide, hey, what are the fun things that I can do without guilt and pay cash for them and not have them constantly be racking up credit cards and all this other stuff and later causing a lot more financial stress in my life. So for me today, it's more of about just, it's actually really easy because I know what's important in my life, and those are the things that I focus on. It's easy for me to say no to stuff because it's like, I don't need that. Like cars. I'm not a big car guy. I don't care. I could drive the biggest POS car on the block. I don't really care, because for me, a car doesn't represent who I am. Now, to a lot of
Right.
people, it is an identity thing. For me, I've gotten rid of that over the years.
Okay.
And for me, a car is really just a huge depreciating asset. It caused a lot of stress on my financial life, and I realized once I got rid of cars, holy crap, like my life was so much easier.
And good to go.
Yeah. So I think for me, it's really about, knowing what's important to me. And
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, I spend money on going out to eat. I love Lego. Man, Lego is expensive. I love all the cool adult Lego sets and stuff. And I'm about to go to a Milwaukee Bucks game with my son for his birthday. Tickets are probably going to range up to $700. Like,
Yep.
I don't,
Yep.
I
Yep.
don't
Yep.
care.
Yep.
I don't care. We're
Okay.
gonna go. We'll have fun without guilt. And I'm gonna come home the next day and there's not gonna be a credit card bill for it because I'm gonna pay cash for it. So I mean,
Gotcha.
budgeting is really just giving your life permission, and sadly though, you got to get through the gross stuff of getting out of debt. Once you can get over there, budgeting becomes a lot easier.
So then which part of your life did when you finally got out of debt, what was that feeling? Like, what do you remember the last payment? What was the last payment you
Oh
did?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember it was a $5,000 loan from my grandmother.
Oh.
And so I borrowed, this was in my early 20s. I borrowed $5,000 from her because I fell for this whole idea that renting like an apartment or something was a sin. Renting's a sin. You can't rent. It's a waste of money. And I
Mhm.
fell for that. But I also had no money to buy a house.
Okay.
And this house that I had finally gotten into, it was like a first time home buyer type deal and very little money down. Well, it was the really cheap house. And, of course that meant it was a really big fixer upper too. So I had to borrow more money on credit cards and eventually had to borrow $5,000 from my grandmother to actually fix up this house so we could actually live in it. And we worked on it for like 6 months. It took me nearly 12 years to finally pay her back. That was the
Mm.
last debt I paid off. And you'll never believe this. So I go in and my grandmother was much older at that time. She was in a nursing home. And I go in with that check with my uncle and I go to sit down with her and I said, here's your check for the money that you loaned me 12 years ago. And she's like, I didn't even remember loaning you that money. I'm like, Grandma, are you for real? I was like, do you realize how liberating this is right now? And you have just crushed this.
You're like, whatever. You're my grandson. It is what it is. Whatever.
Right. So yeah, that was the last debt I had paid off, and it felt amazing because, man, that debt ate me up. Borrowing that money from her and then having to see her every holiday and never hadn't
Mhm.
paid it back. Like to her, like she didn't even think about it. To me, it just ate me up inside.
Yeah.
Like I'm
That's
just
family.
this,
That's
terrible thing, right?
yeah, that's family. You're thinking about it and thinking about it, and then grandma's like, eh.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that was the last one I had paid off. It felt great. And the day I reached financial freedom, the day I should say debt freedom is it was a little bit of it's deflating a little bit. I thought, there'd be like this marching band that come out, big celebration, people throw. Nah, it was just another day. Right.
No
the
tickets.
the reality is though, is the payoff comes every day after that.
Okay.
It's I get to sleep at night. I don't have to
Mhm.
worry about bills anymore. It's that I get to make new choices. I now get to run this business.
Right.
I've spent a tremendous amount of time with my kids as they were little. That's a good
Mhm.
and bad thing because my kids do drive me nuts, like all kids do.
Okay.
And there's days where it's like, okay, I don't want to see you anymore. But there's also plenty of days where they're really good and it's a lot of
Yeah.
fun. And
Yeah.
as a dad, it was great to be able to do that because when I was in debt, I was working 50, 60 hours a week, sometimes even more.
Right.
And, my son, Noah, between the ages of 0 and 2, he was at daycare for, 12, 13 hours a day sometimes. And I just felt awful for him. And now it's not like that. I get to take them to school. I get to pick them up. I get to ask them how their day is. I get to help them with their homework.
Yeah.
I just get to be present in their lives, and I think for me, that's a really big deal. It's a big payoff. So, the work that we've put in over the years, has been it's been amazing. It really has been.
So then where did this transform into, hey, a business? Like,
Weird, right?
yeah, like,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm good. Everything is good. I'm like, well, let me start all over again and get into a business where I can help other people. Where did
right.
that happen?
Yeah, so it really it happened by me just talking about how liberating this process was for me of getting out of debt, and just sharing like, holy crap, like I feel better. I'm able to concentrate in other areas of my life. I'm working out, I'm eating better. I'm like, it just had like this ripple effect. And I just started sharing what I was doing with other people, and they started coming out of the woodwork and kind of asking me for help. They money is a very taboo topic. We're all very quick to celebrate our purchases and the vacations and stuff that we go on, or the latest thing on TikTok that we bought or whatever, right? But when you look at statistics, nearly 7 out of 10 people are living paycheck to paycheck. That means we're all just 1 or 2 paychecks away from hurting really bad, right? And so, a lot of people just started reaching out and asking for help, saying, "Hey, I'm struggling with credit cards," or, "Me and my spouse are having a hard time with money and getting along with money. Like, you guys seem to like look like you got it figured out now. What were you doing?" And so I just kind of started helping people on the side, and for free. It wasn't even charging money. And then people started actually doing some of this stuff, and they started sharing the results with me, and they started saying like, "Hey, this has been life changing for me." And that felt really good. It was like a really fulfilling feeling. And I started to have this idea of, I really like doing this. I like showing people. I like giving people hope. I like, and I'm just a normal guy. Most of these years, I've made less than 6 figures. I live in a normal house, drive normal cars. Most people would have no clue what it is that I do unless they see me on a podcast or doing stuff like this. And it was just cool to be able to give other normal people hope that, hey, you don't have to do like what popular society is doing. You can do it a different way. Yeah, it's going to be challenging. It's going to be a little different, but I can tell you what, man, you're going to sleep at night. You're going to have money in your bank, and life's going to be a hell of a lot easier than it is right now. And I got this idea like, hey, let's start this business. I started doing one-on-one coaching. And then I got tired of one-on-one coaching because I was having the same conversations over and over again with people. And I said,
Repeating
hey,
it. Yeah.
yeah, I was having the same things because all of us have a lot of the same background, same stories, same challenges. And I was like, well, how can we do this on a bigger scale? And so I opened up a membership site, was able to offer it at a much cheaper option. And now we've helped tens of thousands of people all over the world. We have members from all over the world now in our membership, saving and paying off tens of millions of dollars. I'm just some, average Joe guy here. It's just crazy. And we opened up that membership site 7 years ago. I've done speaking tours all over the United States and Canada now. We've got our own podcast that's got nearly 200 episodes on it now. Yeah, man, it's been fun and helping people change their lives. And again, especially now, right now, today, with inflation the way that it is and expenses the way that they are, and people just kind of at their wits' end, it's nice to kind of be that, I guess you'd say, lighthouse out there, showing people like, hey, you can make some changes. You can do some things different. And yeah, it's going to be different than what a lot of your friends and family and your coworkers are doing, but you're going to feel a hell of a lot better than you do right now.
All right. So real quick, someone's like, oh, please help me. Please help me. Tell them where they can find you, how they can get a hold of you real quick.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you want to get all of our stuff, just head over to debtfreedad.com. You can get our podcast right there. We've got some free workshops. We've got a debt freedom planner. We've got a lot of tools and resources. We've got our membership site there. All of our social channels are there as well. You can follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Everything's going to be right there on our website.
All right, real quick, give us one tip to make sure that you don't get into debt.
To make sure you don't get into debt, start looking at your future expenses today. One of the number one reasons why we go into debt is because we don't plan for the future. Right now, the holidays are right around the corner. Average person goes into debt well over $1,000. And this year, 32% of those people that went into debt over $1,000 are still paying for that debt today, and Christmas is only 2 months away. So I would say...
So in other words, what you're saying is don't buy your wife that Christmas gift.
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. No. You're going to get me in trouble now.
I was going to use that excuse. Well, hun, he said that we can't, get into debt. All right. I won't use that one.
Right. But you will realize, though, like a less material type Christmas is actually not all that bad. And
not that bad at all.
For a lot of the people that I've worked with over the years, their kids and their family don't even really quite realize all the less stuff, right? So we've coached a lot of people through this. It's tough for a lot of people when it gets during the holidays. There's a lot of this social influence out there. You got to give all these things, and people realize that less is actually more, and it actually is much more appreciated in a lot of cases too. And also a lot of other people appreciate too, because there's a lot of other people living out there paycheck to paycheck. So the less presents they have to buy, the happier they are too.
All right. So before we go, let's have some fun with you. Here we go.
Now time for Pick 3.
It's now time for pick 3. You're going to ask yourself your last 3 questions before we let you go, my friend. So give me 3 numbers between 1 and 10. 3 numbers between 1 and 10.
All right. 2, 7, and I will go with 10.
2, I think you've given me some different numbers than anybody else I've ever asked for before. Like, I don't even know what 10 is. I got to look at my sheets now for these questions. Okay. All right. Number 2. What 5 people would you? Oh, okay. What 5 people would you bring with you on a desert island?
Oh, 5 people.
Only 5.
Man, this is tough. This is a tough question. Man, okay, I'll bring you. No, just kidding.
There you go. See, we're good.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, we'll bring you. I'd bring Darren Hardy. Ever heard of
Okay.
Darren Hardy? Awesome
Yeah.
self-development guy. I'd probably bring Jimmy Fallon because he cracks me up. Man, who else would I bring? I can't even think of any 2 other people.
There you go. There you go. All right.
5 people, that's tough. You got to bring that down to like 2 or 3.
You know, when your wife listens to this episode, she's gonna ask you one question, right? He said you. He said you. Okay, there you go. Number 7, give us a book or a course that really helps you out in your situation.
Okay, I'll go back to the one I just said I'd take to the island is Darren Hardy. I would say his book called The Compound Effect. Probably one of the most life-changing books that I've ever written or read. It's awesome. Very simple, and you can literally apply it to every single area of your life. It's just about making small, smart choices every single day. And a lot of people feel like, you got to make like all these huge, big steps every day, and it really all comes down to the little things. And yeah, that book right there, it's huge. And it's honestly how I got myself out of debt. You start small, and before you know it, one small step turns into big steps. So,
all right, tell everybody the book one more time.
The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy.
All right, that book just skyrocketed right there. Okay. All right, so number 10 is actually, it says, where can I find you? We talked about that already, so I'm going to flip the script on you on this last question.
Sure.
Past or present, 24 hours. You're just going to sit on the fly. You're going to follow them, a shadow, past or present. Who would you follow and why?
Past or present, who would I follow and why? Well, I'd have to go. I mean, this is going to be more sentimental for me, but past, I would definitely want to spend some more time with my mom. I lost my mom about 14, 15 years ago to cancer. And she was one who kind of gave me the idea of I could do something different. I remember sitting in a car with her at a very young age, and she had said that, Brad, one day you're going to do something really special with your life. She's like, I'm not sure what it is, but you got something in you. And she's like, yeah, I'm just going to be willing to bet you're going to do something special. And I hadn't done any of this before that, and I think it would be cool to meet with her and just kind of share, like, this is where I am now. And a big part of that was just her putting that idea in my head that I was kind of, meant for something different, something a little bit bigger. And I think that's pretty cool.
And that's all that needs to be said, my friend. I think that is awesome myself. I think that's fantastic. Listen, this has been fun, my friend. This has been so much fun. I know people can jump on with you and not feel uncomfortable about that, and you're going to help them out, but you're going to have fun with them, helping them
Absolutely.
out so much. So that's what it's all about. There's things in our lives that we need someone that can jump on with us and have fun with us as we go through our problems. So this is definitely one thing to do. So one more time, tell everybody where they can find you. If you need help, he's here for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Just head over to debtfreedad.com, and we'd be happy to help you. We help everyday normal people living paycheck to paycheck get out of debt. So head on over there and check us out.
All right, my friend. Like I said, everybody, you didn't have to watch, you didn't have to listen, but I'm so glad you did. Here it is. It's never too late to do your dreams. Listen, he's out of debt. He's living life. He's doing things like he used to do. And now he found out how he can help other people. It's never too late. It's time to jump, everybody. Go ahead. We'll see you next time. See you, everyone.